What's up, everybody? It's your favorite, they'll do their jobs, favorite nerd, and today we are comparing the SH Figuarts newly released Star Wars Jango Fett with the Hasbro Black Series Jango Fett. Now, to be fair, this is, in my opinion, one of the better Black Series figures, and you know I think that Black Series does a fairly good job to begin with. But that is something that needs to be considered as we continue through with this, because this comes down to money and worth. We're going to be spending more time on the Figuarts because I've already reviewed the Black Series, but then we're going to kind of talk about where they shine in comparison to one another. Jango comes with a lot of accessories, and they're pretty awesome front to back, to be fair. Let's talk about the hands so we can just kind of get that out of the way. He comes with two posing hands. As you saw, he came with two fist hands. They're all single cast. No sculpt, no paint. No, there's some sculpt work. I take that back. That was ridiculous. I mean, there's definitely some sculpt work in there with the wrinkles for the glove, but it's like when I said that, I meant like seam work and stuff like that. So there's those. There's two. Let's take a look at these because we have two different types, and sometimes the trigger hands. I guess these are trigger hands. Yeah. But they also look like they could be holding hands, but yeah, they're definitely trigger hands because the finger fits right in there. That's like, firing off. It's not a great hold, though. I wonder if it holds the other gun better, which we'll show here in a minute. It's fine. You can definitely get it to go, but it's not the most secure. Like, you can see here, it's not going anywhere, but it's almost like if the fingers wrapped around a bit more, it would be more secure, but it's not hateful, not by any stretch of the imagination. These hands obviously hold it perfectly, and then you get the finger out, safety and whatnot. Now, gun-wise, he comes with this gun here. So you saw two different types of trigger hands, holding hands for the guns. He comes with two of these. Silver finish, black paint, yellow tips, or gold tips, so to speak. So that's cool. Then he comes with this piece for when he uses it to cut, and it looks great. It is fairly sharp, and how you work that, so to speak, once again, is you take this piece off here, you add this piece on, and then you take your wires and tuck them up inside. Now, for a guy with fingers like myself, this is not the easiest thing to do. But when you think of how accessories like this work, it's not the most difficult either. As you can see, I did it with fairly little issue. That's coming on out, so that's not looking good, but I've had it to stay with no problem in the past. And that is pretty cool. I like that. It's a smart accessory. It's a smart idea in terms of how to pull it off as well. So all good there. Now, the other thing that he can do, of course, is fire his harpoon kind of thing. And that tabs in. And I still don't have this popped in all the way. There, so we can have that underneath. But if you actually want him firing it, you just take this out and you insert this and now he's firing it, and this is bendable so you can have it kind of doing one of those numbers, you know what I mean? Like, where it's like you really can kind of give the illusion of propulsion. Is that a word? Let's go with it. So that's really cool, really smart, and I totally dig it. So there's the regular one back on, and as you can see, works just as fine. So no issues. That's pretty cool. Let's just take all that off for now. Then he comes with two pistols. and they peg into the holster, which is pretty smart. There's like, I don't know if you can see it down in there, but there's a little peg hole. No, you may not be able to see it, just have to take my word for it. And this barrel pegs in there, so once it's in there, it ain't going anywhere. Nice and secure, so that's good as well. Also, his head antenna does flip down for targeting and then flip back up, so that's cool. And his backpack is removable, and I believe that this piece down here, yes, is removable. I'm guessing for a flight stand, so you can have him, you know, flying away. So that's pretty cool. I wish that these are just like pegged in. I wish they were a bit more poseable. It feels like they might be on little ball joints, but it might just be a loose connection too. I can't really tell. The paint on it is great. It's got that weathered look from a wash on top of silver and light blue paint, and then we have light blue paint on the dark blue as well. Silver back here. So it's cast in the dark blue, and everything else you see is paint. The head, double ball peg into the helmet and then down into the neck, and then the neck itself seems like it's on a ball peg as well. So articulation wise, you get down to there, up to there, and then the swivel is fine. There's no head underneath the helmet. It's just a ball peg going straight up into. The paint on the helmet, it's a, looks like it's a dark blue plastic. It might be multiple pieces, but I think it's all painted. So the silver is painted, the light blue, the dark blue, and the black sheen gloss there, and then all this stuff is painted as well. And then we have some really good sculpt work, and it does have a light, the slightest wash on it. I didn't even realize it until I got it back around here and saw some of the seams of it, which I'm not even sure are showing up on camera. So that's cool. It is a bit of a bear trying to keep everything together, because it's hard to move the neck, but you know, once you get them posed, you'll be fine. For the torso, we still had this dark gray plastic. The sculpt of the clothes and stuff looks good, and then we have the silver painted on top with wash just around the edges. It's like a brown wash. It does, like in some places, like right here on the sides of the chest, it looks good. Down here, it looks a little heavy-handed, and as a result, looks very, it looks less natural. I have to check. I think that is all right. So the belt is a floating piece, and it sits around the torso, and the torso itself is a double ball joint. So the range of motion is really pretty impressive all the way down to there, because I think it's a double ball joint from the torso into the chest, and then another ball joint from the torso into the pelvis. So it's a really impressive range of motion you can get on this guy in that sense. The belt is just brown plastic as far as I can see. Sculpted well though. The shoulders are where for me trouble comes into paradise. So the shoulder pads hinge, which is nice, that's fine, because that allows you to rotate the shoulder up theoretically. The problem is I can't. Okay, so you see this silver bit here and how it's connected to that purple piece there. It seems like in a perfect world that would be able to shift down. Like you would be able to rotate that piece down, and that would get you to get the arm all the way up, But as a result, mine are either not designed that way, the way it looks like it's designed, or mine are stuck on both sides. But as a result, I can't get the arms up very far, just pretty much to there. Now you can spin them, that's no problem, but with the shoulder pad up, I can't get it any further, so that kind of sucks. And I haven't run into that sort of, usually Figuarts are very good with handling the shoulder plates and armor. Now the shoulders themselves are on a ball peg. It's a hinge out on the shoulder to a ball peg going into the chest. So you get like a makeshift butterfly joint. It seems like there's a casing for a proper butterfly joint, but it's not. It doesn't work properly, at least if that is the case. But because of the ball joint, you can bring the shoulders up so that they align armor-wise perfectly with the shoulder armor, and that does look good. This is worth noting. On the Hasbro one, you can't do that. The shoulders plates are always going to sit slightly lower, and that's because they've designed theirs to always go underneath for articulation, which I totally get. But here, because they do drop on the ball peg, you can get the shoulder plates all in line, and there's something aesthetically that just works a bit better about that. But, you know, Hasbro's goes all the way out to the side with no problem, so there's something to be said there. Then you get the swivel as well. Bicep swivel. Now this looks like it should be a double jointed. There it is. I've been having to work this guy. This has been the stiffest, so to speak, SH Figuarts figure I've ever gotten. But it is a double jointed elbow, so it gets you a great range. But the joint that's closest to the bicep, I've struggled with. I've struggled to get it to move. I may still not be able to have it move on this end. Let's see. Nope, it's stuck. You see? Nothing. We did get the hand off, so we'll talk about that. The typical SH Figuarts ball joint on a hinge, so it should swivel at both ends and then hinge at both ends. For the wiring here, they're all these little, they're glued into this, and then they plug into here. The nice thing about it, there's 3 of them. They all plug in separately, of course, but the nice thing is they go in relatively smoothly as long as your fingers don't act like a moron. And the socket for them is very deep, so to speak. So as a result, when you manipulate it and stuff, it's not frustrating. They're not constantly coming out and whatnot, so that's cool. That's an added bonus. For the gauntlets here, we have silver paint, black paint, the wash is applied, and a gold stripe down there. Now, just to juxtapose that against this, it's just the silver paint with the black wash on it. Not a terrible difference, but just look, the thing with these two is that it doesn't come down to huge differences. It comes down to small differences and huge difference in money, so we'll talk about that later. Same on this side, except you get this little bit here, the black painted, the silver painted, and the silver isn't painted all that well. Well, it's painted well on the gauntlet itself, but not on the little strip that goes across. And then on this, you do get that paint as well. It's painted even more sloppy, to be fair, honest, and true to myself, but that is just the way it goes. So, floating piece. Coming down here, we have drop-down T-jointed ball joints for hips. So, they're the ball joints here, but they're attached to a hinge. Articulation-wise, you can get them up to here. If you take the gun out, you can probably get even a little bit more, but that's still pretty impressive. And then you can drop them down and rotate them up to get them all the way up to here. Of course, it destroys the sculpt in the back, but it's kind of the cost of doing business. Sculpt-wise for the pelvis, we got the silver paint and then black paint for the buckle. The buckles, or for the belt, but the buckles holding the belt to the pelvis are not painted, which I didn't expect. I would have expected for that to be. I would have expected for that to have been painted. I'm not sure why that was so difficult for me. Bear with me. Thigh swivel. Of course, you lose the belt sculpt, which is unfortunate, but I get it. You know, and the belt isn't painted that clean, which I don't understand. That's not the sort of problem I expect to have with a figure of this caliber. Same on the back. This strap here is done fairly well, but this strap here is not. That strap is not. The silver is painted well, but we still got brown outside the lines. So it really gets messy down in there, which is a bummer. Backpack looks phenomenal. The back of the figure looks phenomenal. Double jointed knees. A buddy of mine mentioned that he didn't like this knee. I see what he means, but it doesn't really bother me. I think it hides the joint fairly well, and you get a mean articulation. I quit. Well, that's it.
What?
I'm going to quit reviewing.
Why?
Because I'm having so much trouble feet. I quit this conversation as well. You get mean articulation on it. So, all in all, I'm up for it. Silver paint, both on the knee and on this shin armor here. So that works. All the sculpt of wrinkles in the pants, as well as the seam in the back, is done really well. Ankles, you got the same sort of SH Figuarts joints that we're used to. The hinged swivel with the ball peg. So, you get up to there, down to there, you rotate, and you get the rocker. So that's cool. And then you get a toe hinge here, which is a bit far back in the foot, but I'm not a big stickler for that. I kind of feel like that's okay. They kind of deal with the best they can in that regard. And that is this guy. Just to compare it real quick, I think the arms are better. I think the head is similar. You get the biceps so really low. Single jointed elbow, so that's much more limited. Single ball peg for the waist, so that's much more limited. Same on this side. Hips are limited, but the belt is a floating piece of plastic, so the belt is always intact, which I actually have to say I may like better. Double jointed elbow, knee, and I think that knee looks worse because it just looks like it defies the laws of physics. And then ankle tilt, better back, more limited front, but the sculpt isn't as nice, and the rocker's built in. So let's move on. Size comparison wise, there he is with Black Series Obi-Wan on the left, SH Figuarts on the right, and the SH Figuarts Battle Droid center. So size wise, I think that they're very comparable. The Hasbro one is definitely beefier. Now, you're either going to feel one way or another way about that, and I totally understand both points of view. But I don't think that there's anything necessarily that says one is definitely an all-out knockout over the other in regard to size. Final thoughts wise, as you can see, I try to put them in similar poses. I think that it's obvious that you can get a lot more attitude across in the SH Figuarts, but it doesn't mean that the Hasbro one is bad here. So obviously the Figuarts one is going to be better on a lot of levels. So let's get those out of the way so that we can have the discussion, okay? The SH Figuarts materials are obviously better. SH Figuarts sculpt is obviously better. SH Figuarts paint is obviously better. Although the paint on the Hasbro one isn't bad because it's pretty much just washes across the board. And to be fair, the paint on the straps on the SH Figuarts one is probably the only bad paint I've seen on the SH Figuarts to date. The SH Figuarts comes with a ton more accessories. All of them very cool and very integrating. The Figuarts is able to pull off more poses, but the shoulders are more limited than the Hasbro one. In the same breath, you're able to pull off things aesthetically with the shoulders with the SH Figuarts that you aren't able to pull off with the Hasbro one. There's that gloss that's added to the Figuarts on the helmet, which gives it much more life than the Hasbro one. And now that that's out of the way, obviously Figuarts can also do things like, they can make the little targeting thing slimmer line plastic, which gives it a more realistic look and feel other than the big chunky one that's on the Hasbro one. But that's really it. And the Hasbro one has it on shoulder articulation, as we've already mentioned. And I think it might have it on those the holster straps. Although I see the point of both. I think if the holster straps were painted better on the Figuarts one, I would give them the nod. But because they're not, it's like, what's the point? So here's the thing. The Figuarts one, definitely better than the Hasbro one. There's no question about it. There's just so much more articulation, so much more configuration, so many more accessories to do all sorts of interesting things with. The question is, though, with EMS shipping rates and all those sorts of things taken into account, you're looking at between $65 and $75 for this Figuarts one, if you could get in on it to begin with. And the question is it worth $40 more? And that I'm not sure of. If somebody were to say to me, look, I'm going with the Hasbro one because I don't think it's $40 more, I'd be like, I get it. And if someone were to say, look, I'm going with the SH Figuarts one because to me it's worth $40 more, I'd get that too. But this is not like the Darth Mauls, where the SH Figuarts one is just blowing it out of the water in every way possible, where it's like, yes, dude, I will pay the extra money. Or the First Order Trooper, where it's kind of the same thing. This is a bit more relative. So I would say this one definitely comes down to how important this character is to you and what price point you are willing to spend. Good news is there's not a bad choice even with the huge difference in price. This is one of the better Black Series, to be fair, and it's one of the kind of Figuarts, to be fair. So it's like they both kind of hit the right and wrong marks in order to put them fairly close to each other where it makes the purchase worthwhile either way you're going. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Till next time, take care.